So Kelly, I am excited to sit here with you. I'm in the belly of the beast. This is exciting. So it's your campaign headquarters, and thank you for letting me, like, I guess, infiltrate to come and ask you some questions. And for me, as a voter, I typically I have a process that I go through, and then when I start to identify people that I'm seeing as leaders that are captivating me, that's when I want to draw closer. I've openly endorsed you, and with that endorsement, it is not fluff. It is I'm like, it's the moment I endorsed you, I was like, no, everybody pray for her. because
Thank you.
It comes with MiDian having questions, MiDian asking other people, how do you feel, what are your thoughts? And so as we continue to navigate into the actual ballot box that we're all going to walk into to cast our vote, I decided that I wanted to extend my questions beyond myself and beyond my own curiosity. So I talked to college students, I talked to new families, single moms, single dads. I talked to some corporate heads that are leading at a high impact level. I talked to some of the people that I know in my family that are developers, that we go back and forth all the time, and they're not here, but anyway, so these questions are an echo of a lot of different paths of life, a lot of different curiosities, and at the same time, there are 6 ways to get to 10. We're all coming from different spaces, but we ultimately have this goal that we have in mind. And so, if we don't agree on methods, we can still talk about collaboration. We can still listen to each other to understand communities better. And so that's the reason that I went out and kind of casted a wide net to say I want to get perspectives and lenses from other people so that I can kind of figure out what questions do we all have in common. And so these were some questions that we all shared and that I wanted to ask you.
Let's do it.
All right, so the first question, you've mentioned that unhoused neighbors would be arrested as a last resort to your housing intervention plan. And I use the term arrested because you had said it at the Denverite forum. So so can you please speak to the following? First, how do you define last resort?
Yeah, this is such an important one for me because I think what I'm trying to think through is the more than 150 people who died on simply because they were unhoused on our streets last year. And to me, last resort means I'm trying to save a life. I agree with everyone. The priorities: get people to safer locations, get them supports and services, get them housing. But I also recognize I don't think everyone on our streets today is able to make the best decision about how to keep themselves safe. I'm seeing it. I know this is a little personal for me too, having someone very close to me, a young man who was unhoused last year on our streets and in Fort Collins. And I think for me, this is about saving lives. And that to me is the last resort, where if I think your life is in danger, I'm going to want my team to figure out how to get you safe. That said, I also don't want to add trauma to people's lives. Being unhoused and the challenges that families and individuals are facing are great enough. And so I'm interested in keeping you safe and deferring judgment, deferring sentence, whatever it takes, but to get you to a safer location or to get you to support and services. That's really what I mean by it.
Gotcha. So when you talk about someone, so when we get to last resort, that means that all of these other opportunities, engagements, relationships, reaching out, extending the hand, when all of that has not come to fruition, we are starting to see last resort, and we are starting to say, okay, this is something that there's a bigger part of the reason the decision is not yielding to these other resources. So with that being said, do you think our policing system currently has and displays safe engagement with systemically impacted communities like our unhoused neighbors? So if yes, if you can explain, if the answer is yes to that, please explain. If the answer is no, then why leverage the police for this cause?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is no. You only have to look at, the incidents we've seen to say this is not the direction we want to go. And I think the dilemma is this, and this is where I need help, is if our goal is to save lives and we can't get you in any other way, we just have no other options, right? We have a mental health hold that are really hard to achieve, but that would be part of that outreach and exhausting every possible option. And this is just all we have left. That said, maybe there is another way to do it, right? My obligation, I feel, is just to my goal is to keep people safe. That's it. Until they can do that for themselves. And I think sometimes people right now need support and help to be able to do that for themselves. And so that's my struggle, but I'm open to other ways to doing it. And I've been talking with people in community about what else could we do? Because I just don't want another 150, 170 people to lose their lives because they're unhoused. And I got to tell you, part of this for me too is who you and I have become. You know, a few years ago, I would never have walked by somebody not moving on the sidewalk, ever. I would have stayed with them until I got them help. I want to be that city again, who says we don't leave people in their most vulnerable moment to fend for themselves. That's what I'm going for. And if there's other paths for us to get there, I'd be open to those. I just don't want to leave people to fend for themselves. And I think that's what we're doing today. And I think they're dying because we're doing that.
Who gets a seat at your table to say, let's think about how to do this other ways outside of police engagement? Like, who gets a seat at that table with you?
Yeah, I think this has to be primarily our communities who've been most negatively impacted by policing. So this is communities of color sitting with us. You know, this is one of the things I get asked a lot in the campaign, right? How can you say you're going to improve public safety, and yet you have people who've been former executives of the ACLU or far left? Well, that's how you actually improve community safety, is there isn't, right? It isn't all about policing, and it can't be. And I think we got to get smarter about when it is and when it isn't. And to me, communities who've been most negatively impacted are key to sitting at that table and helping us figure this out.
Great.